Look, we need to talk. If you're watching this video right now, there's a good chance your relationship isn't exactly where you want it to be. Maybe you've been fighting more than usual. Maybe the spark feels like it's dimming. Or perhaps you're just tired of repeating the same relationship patterns over and over again. Here's the thing though. You clicked on this video, which means you actually care about making things better. And that puts you ahead of about 70% of people out there. Today, we're diving deep into the real strategies that can transform your relationship in 2026. Not the surface-level advice you've heard a million times, but the stuff that actually works when you put it into practice. Whether you're trying to save a struggling relationship, strengthen an already good one, or prepare yourself to be the best partner possible, this video is going to give you the tools you need. But before we jump in, I want you to do something. Think about your current relationship situation right now. What's the one thing that frustrates you most about how things are going? Keep that in mind as we go through this, because I guarantee we're going to address it. The first thing you need to understand about improving relationships in 2026 is that it starts with brutal honesty about yourself, not your partner, not the situation, you. This might sting a little, but most relationship problems aren't really about the other person. They're about patterns we've developed that we're completely blind to. Here's what I want you to do this week. Sit down and ask yourself 3 questions. First, what behaviors do I repeat when I'm stressed that might be pushing my partner away? Second, what do I expect from my partner that I'm not clearly communicating? And third, what would my partner say is my biggest blind spot if they were being completely honest? These questions are uncomfortable because they force you to look at yourself instead of pointing fingers. But here's why this matters so much. When you start from a place of self-awareness, everything else we're going to talk about becomes 10 times more powerful. The second game changer for 2026 relationships is learning to embrace imperfection in a completely different way. We live in an Instagram world where everyone's relationship looks perfect from the outside. But real love isn't about finding someone without flaws. It's about choosing someone whose flaws you can live with and who chooses to live with yours. This doesn't mean settling or ignoring red flags. It means shifting from a mindset of, how can I fix my partner, to how can we grow together? When your partner does something that annoys you, instead of immediately getting frustrated, try this approach. Ask yourself, is this something that's actually harmful, or is it just different from how I would do it? For example, maybe your partner is always running late. Instead of getting angry every single time, you could say something like, I notice you struggle with time management sometimes. What if we started leaving 15 minutes earlier, and I'll help remind you when we need to get ready? You're addressing the issue without making them feel attacked. Now, let's talk about communication, because this is where most couples completely mess things up. The biggest myth about relationships is that your partner should just know what you need. They can't read your mind, and expecting them to is setting both of you up for failure. Effective communication in 2026 means being specific about your needs and feelings. Instead of saying, you never help around the house, try, I feel overwhelmed when I'm doing all the cleaning by myself. Could we figure out a way to split the household tasks? See the difference. One creates defensiveness, the other creates opportunities for solutions. Here's something that's going to revolutionize how you handle conflicts this year. When you feel yourself getting triggered during an argument, call a timeout. Not to avoid the conversation, but to come back to it when you can think clearly. When emotions are running high, your brain literally can't process information the same way. Taking 20 minutes to calm down isn't giving up, it's being strategic. During these timeouts, practice what I call the perspective flip. Try to genuinely understand why your partner might be feeling or acting the way they are. What might they be experiencing that you're not seeing? This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they do, but understanding their perspective will help you respond more effectively. One of the most powerful tools you can use in 2026 is learning your partner's love language and actually speaking it consistently. This isn't just feel-good advice. It's based on real research about how people experience love differently. And this idea of understanding people on a deeper level isn't just important for relationships. It's becoming essential in how we build our careers too. In 2026, the people who get ahead aren't necessarily the smartest in the room. They're the ones who intentionally invest in skills that compound over time instead of staying stuck in the same routines. That's why I've been recommending digital cloud training. It's designed for people who don't want to go back to school or figure everything out on their own, but still want practical, in-demand cloud and tech skills that actually open doors. It gives you a clear path, real projects, and a way to future-proof yourself without burning out or guessing what to learn next. If you've been feeling behind, uncertain, or just tired of relying on one income path, I've linked it below so you can explore it when it makes sense for you. The 5 love languages are words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. Most people naturally give love in their own love language, but that might not be what their partner needs to feel loved. If your partner's primary love language is quality time, surprising them with an expensive gift might not have the impact you expect. They'd probably prefer you putting your phone away and having a real conversation. If their love language is acts of service, doing the dishes without being asked will mean more to them than saying, "I love you" 50 times. Here's your homework for this week. Figure out your partner's love language by paying attention to what they request most often and what they complain about when it's missing. Then commit to speaking their love language at least once every single day, even in small ways. Let's talk about something that destroys more relationships than almost anything else: the habit of keeping score. You know what I mean. I did the dishes yesterday, so it's your turn. I planned the last date night. I'm always the one who initiates conversations about our problems. Keeping score turns your relationship into a competition instead of a partnership. In healthy relationships, both people give freely without constantly calculating who's doing more. This doesn't mean being a doormat. It means approaching your relationship from a place of generosity rather than transaction. Instead of keeping score, focus on appreciation. Make it a habit to notice and acknowledge the things your partner does well. When someone feels appreciated, they naturally want to do more positive things. When they feel criticized and unnoticed, they shut down. Here's something that's become even more important in 2026: creating boundaries around technology and social media in your relationship. The average person checks their phone over 150 times per day. Think about how that impacts your ability to connect with your partner. Set specific times when you're both completely present with each other. No phones, no distractions, just connection. It might feel awkward at first if you haven't done this in a while, but this is where intimacy actually develops. Not just physical intimacy, emotional intimacy. Now, let's address something that's crucial for long-term relationship success: learning to repair after conflicts. Every couple fights. The difference between couples who last and couples who don't isn't that they never have problems. It's that they know how to repair the damage that happens during disagreements. A repair can be as simple as saying, "I'm sorry I raised my voice earlier. I was frustrated about the situation, not at you." Or, "I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Can we start this conversation over?" The key is addressing the process of the conflict, not just the content. Here's something most people don't realize about successful relationships: they require intentional effort to maintain novelty and excitement. The butterflies you felt at the beginning don't just disappear because time passes. They disappear because you stop doing the things that created them in the first place. Make an effort to surprise each other, try new experiences together, and continue growing as individuals. When you're growing and evolving, you stay interesting to your partner. When you become completely predictable and stop putting in effort, the relationship becomes stagnant. Finally, let's talk about the most important relationship skill for 2026: emotional regulation. This means learning to manage your own emotional state instead of expecting your partner to manage it for you. When you're stressed, tired, or overwhelmed, it's not your partner's job to fix those feelings. Develop your own coping strategies for difficult emotions. Exercise, meditation, talking to friends, journaling, whatever works for you. When you can regulate your own emotions, you show up as a much better partner. Here's your action plan for transforming your relationship this year. First, commit to 1 week of brutal self-reflection using the questions I gave you earlier. Second, identify your partner's love language and start speaking it consistently. Third, establish technology-free connection time every single day. Fourth, practice appreciation by noticing and acknowledging one thing your partner does well each day. And here's the most important part: don't try to implement all of these changes at once. Pick one thing and focus on it for the next 30 days until it becomes natural. Then add another element. Sustainable change happens gradually, not overnight. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more relationship content that actually works. What's one area of your relationship that you're most excited to work on this year? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.